everyone, welcome to Coach on Command. My name is Aaron Littleton. I am the head coach of the Gymnastics Sports Center Storm, two-time AGA champion, and your host for this hour of excitement and wonder. Thanks so much for tuning in. We've got a great show here for you tonight. I've got some of my fantastic and distinguished and other colleagues here with us tonight, and so I'm going to go down the panel and let them introduce themselves as soon as we talk about Mr. Cronin, who is here again, and so we're going to let him introduce himself first because he's sitting on the box.
Do I get to introduce myself?
Yes, please.
Okay. Joe Cronin, owned the Gymnastics Sports Center from 1990 till about 2019, 2020. And it's great to be back on the podcast. The first time was just a warm up. Now I'm warmed up and I'm ready to go for time number 2.
Trucks.
My name's Tracy, and I swear I'm not a hostage. So, team, if you guys have questions for us, just email us at askcoc@yahoo.com.
There you go. That's how you do it. All right. So our main prompt tonight is about words of wisdom. So obviously, the longer you've been around this business, the more that you've encountered it in your every day-to-day life. And as Farmer says, you know a thing or two because you've seen a thing or two. And so in the over 32 years and some change, I'm not sure exactly how much it is, I'm sure he'll tell you, that Mr. Cronin was actively running this gym. He has seen a thing or three, I'm sure. So we thought, since we have him held captive here with us against his will, that
he is a hostage.
Yeah. that we would get him to lend us some of that knowledge that he's accrued over the years. So, Mr. Cronin, this sport is hard, right? And very hard. And so, what is your advice to students, maybe athletes, beginner gymnasts, competition gymnasts, or parkour athletes, anybody like that? What would you tell them? What's your best advice?
You get into the sport because you like movement. You like to just be upside down a lot, and there's always just a ton of stuff to learn. No matter how much you know, there's always going to be a gymnast, a parkour student, a gymkata. They know more than you do. Very rarely do you get to be the big gun in the gym. So, my advice, no matter what point you are in your learning, would be just to be patient, because as you're learning skills, it's not always going to be this perfect increment of you just get better. I mean, there's going to be some dips and some rises and some dips and some rises, and hopefully it'll keep rising, but learn to be patient, because if you're really working on skills and you're listening to your coaches and you're giving them good feedback, I mean, you'll learn and you will improve, but it just doesn't happen, overnight.
That still doesn't sound like a complete sentence. My advice to really students of any sport is to try everything possible within reason and don't hurt yourself.
I would have to say that, one, starting as early as you can is definitely going to be a benefit to you. Because like Mr. Cronin said, it's not a straight trajectory up, but the sooner you get started on working on your ups and downs, the sooner you move on towards being better at the sport. Another thing I would say is learning to temper your expectations. Some people can demonstrate something and make it look so easy. That doesn't mean that it's easy. Looks can be very deceiving in that front, so you have to make sure that your expectations are in line to understand that this is going to take time.
Absolutely. I think all of those things are great answers. And then I have some too, maybe great, maybe terrible, we'll see. But so number one thing that I would tell a student or a prospective student who is going to try to get into this sport, any of these sports, parkour, gymnastics, cheer, any of that, is number one, you've got to welcome the grind. You've got to really lean into it, because we've talked about it before, and it's like, if you just get to the point where you're like, man, I'm just exhausted, I'm so sick of doing this over and over and over and over again, it's just not really going to serve you very well. And so it's always good to really kind of lean into that this is harder than other things. And so once you expect that, I think it helps you kind of take it in stride a little bit better, and it will help you bounce back from setbacks easier than people who don't have that mindset. And the other thing is, cultivate your mindset. You know, this is a very specific thing that we do. And you're not going to show up here on your first day and be the greatest of all time. It takes time. You've got to realize that, and you've got to be willing to put in the work, right? You can't just give up. It's like, oh, well, I failed at doing a cartwheel. I fell over. I'm done. That's it. I'm going to go try basket weaving or something instead.
Basket weaving content coming soon.
Led by Coach Tracy.
Yeah, I was going to say that will be on Tracy's channel. But yeah, so you've got to have a lot of physical, but even more than that, mental resiliency, and all of that comes with you've got to calibrate your mindset, and that will help drag you through some of the less fun times that you will have in the gym. And so the other thing is, and I've said this a lot lately, but you can't just sit around and worry about all sorts of things. You can't sit around and worry about your scores if you're on the competition team, especially if it's your first year. Oh my goodness, just go have some fun. You've worked your whole life to get out here, and I find all these girls who get first year and they're like, oh no, I got an 8 instead of a 10. It's like, great, next time get an 8.1. It's like, why are you so upset? And so don't worry about your scores, and I wouldn't even worry about your progress. That's what your coaches are for. You know, find some coaches that can help progress you through the levels, and don't worry about it. Just show up, get to work. Don't worry about stuff, and you'll be rewarded for that in the long run. So you're just not going to be Simone Biles on day one.
No, you watch Simone and and everything looks easy. Everything looks effortless, and what people don't realize is how much time and how much, like I said, repetition and the grind of doing it. Do it again, do it again, do it again, and how much she goes through to just get to that level. I was at a cheerleader tryout years and years ago, and I won't say which school, but there's only a few schools at that time here in Wichita Falls. And there was a young lady, and you have to have an entry once they introduce you. And this young lady goes to do a round off back handspring, and she just falls on her head, and they actually had to take her to the hospital. And in talking to her later, the question was, why in the world did you try a back handspring and when you've never done one before? And her answer was, I saw some of the other girls doing it. It looked easy, so I thought I would try it. So, yeah. They make it look easy, but it's not. It's not.
Interesting place to give your first attempt at something like that.
Yeah. Let's just try a back handspring.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and I mean, I tell the kids all the time, people are like, yeah, I'm going to get my back handspring, and they think of a back handspring as a unit, as like a unit of measure. Well, I did one back handspring. There it is. And it's like, no, it's so many different pieces and parts broken up into little segments. And, yeah, if it looks easy, it's not, I promise you. And so, all right, there you go. That is Mr. Cronin's advice to gymnasts and to students. I nearly made it.
Not everything is a just do it situation.
And right. And so, all right, Mr. Cronin, what are your words of wisdom for coaches?
For coaches, I mean, yes, it's like it's also a grind. I mean, learning how to spot, learning how to develop students, learning how to run a class, things like that. And so you can go a million different ways with that. But the thing that I thought about, and one of the things that helped me as far as in my coaching, was you get a lot of reps in. Just like a gymnast, you have to do it lots of times, hundreds and hundreds of times. And then my advice to the coaches would be that once you've done it hundreds and hundreds of times, everybody has a favorite side. They have a left side or a right side. I feel better from this side. I feel better from that side. Okay, what if, you come upon a situation where somebody needs a double spot, and it's like, but I want that side. And so my advice to the coaches is learn how to spot from both sides. Learn how to use your right hand as well as your left hand, because you're going to come upon a situation where you're either teaching, or you're double spotting, and you may not get your favorite side, and that's the way it is. But yeah, if you can coach from both sides, you're more valuable, and it's also safer for the children.
Now, the whole sides thing, it's really weird because I had a different coach than Coach Aaron teach me how to spot cartwheels and handstands and back handsprings. So I spot on my left side, but Coach Aaron taught me how to spot front and back tucks. So that puts me on the right side. So like halfway through whatever I'm doing, I'll like switch sides in the middle of any pass, really. But it's a whole thing. So much fun. But my advice to coaches is get out of my way. No, I'm totally kidding. It says it on my paper, I swear. No. Want to learn this sport. You can't come into it and just halfway know it, halfway care about it. You have to know the ins and outs of what you're doing so you can teach the ins and outs of any skill. And that goes with any sport, but especially gymnastics, when you have to do so much to keep everybody safe. Want to learn the sport.
I would say that earning the title of coach does not absolve you of the title of student. Definitely. I love that smile. Why do I earn that one? Just saying. Being a coach, I'm a much different coach now than I was back whenever I first started. My teaching style's evolved. My knowledge of the sport has evolved. And not only that, not every student learns the same. I've learned different teaching tactics to teach the same thing. And depending on my psychoanalysis of my student, maybe I'm not going to teach them the same way I would another student. And it's not picking favorites or anything like that. Some children just, some students just need a certain style of teaching to learn better. And it's a case-by-case scenario with that. And I would say that as a coach, I've also discovered that basically any resource can be a piece to learn from. I've learned from students. I've learned from lazy students. Students that I thought, this kid will never make it in this sport. I don't know why they're here.
Kaegan.
Yeah. Well, anyways, it's not, you have to be able to learn from any resource. And the reason I say that is sometimes a lazy student will teach you a better way to teach something. You might even find a way to teach a less motivated student how to do something by watching students that want to do it in an easier way. Just saying. Bill Gates, I believe, said hire lazy people because they'll find the most efficient way to get a job done. It's true in sport as well. Sometimes you might learn how to teach something faster.
That's awesome. Yes. Yeah. Lazy people, and sometimes I can be one. Yeah. You've got to figure out a way to teach the thing that you need as efficiently as possible. Cut out all the middlemen and all of that. So yeah, great advice, everybody. And so the thing that I'm going to say, and so I'm basically going to tell you how I got here, because these are basically the things that I've done over my career after Mr. Cronin hired me for some nondescript reason. So this is what I've done, and this is kind of what you can do to help yourself advance. And it's not so dissimilar from what my colleagues have said here. But number one is care more than you have to. I think it all starts with that, because you start this job and it's like, oh, there's a kid over there. Well, this is a job. It's like, and if you go into it with that attitude, it's like, it's not that big a deal. It's not whatever. I don't really care about the kids. They're a paycheck to me. It's like, I've known any number of coaches that had that mentality as I've been working through my own career here. And number one is, if you care more than you have to, more than you're being paid to care, then obviously you will reap the benefits of that, the rewards of it. And so, care about the people around you, care about your students, care about the other coaches, help out where you can. The other thing is show up early. You are never going to be You're never going to be chosen for an advancement opportunity if you're there 30 seconds before the bell. If they're like, hey, where's that person at? Why are they not here? It's like, show some initiative. And showing up early when you do not have to be there, that is a good way to kind of put yourself in the driver's seat of your career and where you want to be. And that doesn't just apply to gymnastics. That applies to everything, whatever you're going to do for the rest of your life. And the next thing is be ambitious. Look past what you can see. Look past your nose is really what I'm saying. Have an idea of what you want to do, and cultivate a plan to get there. And so for me, running this gym, when I first started running this gym, it's like it was a tiny little gym. I had a few kids, but there wasn't the team development program that I wanted, and so I had to develop it. And so there was a team type program, but it took too long to get to team, and there were gaps in between levels and all sorts of things. And so I decided, as I'm working, I'm like, man, this would be so much better if we could fix this, and it would be so much easier on the kids. It'd be so much easier for us, as well. So efficiency and laziness, you got to use that sort of stuff to your advantage. But yeah, be ambitious in what you're trying to do. Don't just be like, oh, I want to have 3 kids on team. No, how about you have 5 kids on team and then work from there? I think that will serve you very well. Along with showing up early, stay late. Now, here's the thing. Mr. Cronin, I'm sure, was sick of me early on in my career, and now he's definitely sick of me. But early on in my career, because I'd stay late and I'd be like, hey, listen, this is something that we can change. I've got this idea. I think that we can, do this instead of that. I think, hey, how can we advance this? I've got a problem here. Let's talk through it. And so sometimes we'd be at the gym way too late. But that initiative and that willingness is going to help you, again, catch somebody's eye, move forward in whatever job prospect that you're trying to get. And, as an employer, I want to see people who are motivated to do the job, and you've got to kind of put on for the job that you want, not necessarily the one that you have.
I would just like to say, for the record, this is our day off.
This is our day off. And so we are here getting it in. So do, care more than you have to, do more than is expected of you. And those things will help you. Kaegan said it, learn at every opportunity. If you see something that you don't know, if a coach is in the gym, if you are a young coach, my best advice to you, if a older coach or a coach that's been doing it longer is speaking, I would be a sponge. I would be a magnet. I would be right there listening to everything that they had to say, trying to cultivate my own skills, because that will only help you going forward. And then the last thing, and I've said this before, don't let anybody outwork you. And that starts with a mindset. And so show up early, stay late, work as hard as you can, learn all the time, because yes, as Tracy in his feng shui says, it is you are a perpetual student, and it's best not to forget that. So be humble. You can learn stuff from even the most unexpected sources. All right, Mr. Cronin. So what this one can be a sticky one.
Good.
What is your advice to parents? And so now they pay our salary. They help keep the gym afloat, and so obviously we were very appreciative of them. But sometimes, when you get into competition, and I think I've alluded to this on the podcast before, when you put a score next to somebody's name, things get really weird. And so what would be your advice to parents to help them kind of navigate this landscape?
And so here's the thing, I was a gym owner, and it was, almost 15 years before I finally had a child who was a competitive gymnast. And so I had a good long while to listen to parents and give advice to parents. And then finally the day came when my own daughter was on team, and all of a sudden I became a better gym owner, and I became a better parent because of that. But I think about, number one, as far as my advice to parents would be just take it all in. Um, these children, their gymnastics career is very very short. It's not going to last very very long, and so I would tell people at expos, these are your Kodak moments. Take lots of pictures, just put it in as good memories, because they're only going to be little for so long. And so just enjoy the time that they're in the gym, enjoy the time that they're competing. Having said that, too, like I said, I had a daughter who's a competitive gymnast, and I will tell you this right now, I never coached her. I was not her coach. She's a really really good gymnast. She's a good daughter. But the one thing I had learned from watching some of the parents and some of the other gymnasts was that you're a parent first, and so your job is not to coach these children. They have a coach. They have good coaches. They have competent coaches, and so your job as a parent is to encourage. And I think about the ride home after a gymnastics meet, and you knew which gymnasts weren't looking forward to the ride home, because their parents had them hostage. Can I use that word? Had them hostage for a few hours on the ride home, and would use that time to break down their skills. And for me, I was at every meet, and every meet that my daughter went to, and the ride home was not about gymnastics. It was anything but that. They have coaches who will break down skills. My job as a parent was just to encourage them and tell them how much I enjoyed watching them do the skills. What a fun time we had together. Where we're going to go out to eat after the meet's over with. Those kind of things. And so, like I said, take it all in. They're only going to be this young for a short period of time, and then don't coach. Just encourage them.
My advice to parents is communication. We cannot know things and better help your child if you do not communicate with us. If it's important enough to cause issues in class, it's important enough to tell your coaches. Communication is always the best.
My advice to parents is this is not an easy sport. Most sports aren't. Anything worth doing, typically not easy. Gymnastics, parkour, particularly difficult. Expect some level of hardship going into this. As Mr. Cronin was saying, you have your kids. Sometimes the ride home may not always be so pleasant, but that's not necessarily what I'm talking about. Potentially, students will get injured. Okay, we don't ever want it to happen, but it is something that could happen in this sport. And I would say that if you expect that it could happen along the way, when it does happen, you'll be more prepared to deal with it. And I would say that taking care of that up front, so you don't have to deal with it all at once, is a wise decision.
Absolutely. My advice for parents, as someone who has dealt with with my fair share of parents, in good situations and bad situations, getting screamed at, all of that kind of stuff, is number one, and this is probably the most important advice that I would give to parents, and that is find a coach that you trust. Somebody who is worthy of your trust, and to figure that out, you've got to watch them coach, and you've got to see how they interact with your kids. And it goes back to what I was saying earlier about care more than you have to. Does this person care about your child, or are they just a dollar sign, or are they just another number in your gym? And you should be able to suss that out. It's a really hard thing to fake, you should be able to kind of see just by the work that they put in if they really love what they do, if they really love coming here and working with the kids. And so you've got to, and those type of people are the ones who are going to put your child first, and that's what you want. That's your goal as a parent, is to get the coaches to care about your child and do what is in their best interest. And so number one, find a coach you trust. Number two, support your athlete fiercely. Be their number one fan. Do, as Mr. Cronin used the word, encourage, and that is really a great word to use, because they're going to come off the floor and Missy told me early on in my career, it's like, you got to get the parents to be the child's biggest support system, because they're gonna have a bad meet, they're gonna fall off the beam, and they're gonna come bawling, to the parents,
and they're going to put their self-worth on that score, and that's not what they're worth. That's just a score.
Right. And so, as I've said many times in the past, weird stuff happens when you put a score out there. So, yes, support them fiercely. Be their number one fan. Be their support system. Build them back up when they've been torn down. And that's your job in this dichotomy of the coach-parent relationship. And now, here's the other thing. You're not their coach. Please let their coach do their job. And that goes back to finding a coach that you trust. And you've got to find that coach so that you can let them do their job. And you're not always going to know. You're not always going to understand exactly what's happening or why this or that. And so then, as Kaegan says, you've got to communicate with them and try to figure it out. But if you've got somebody who really cares about your child, then you just got to let them do their job, because you can become a huge part of the problem for no reason in a hurry. And so let that coach do their job, please. And the other thing is, and I say this as respectfully as I can, please calm down. Okay? Because it's like, what, your daughter falls off the beam. Well, you don't need to be meeting that coach as they come off the floor. Why did she fall off the beam? Why did she do this? And it sounds crazy, but if you've ever been to a gymnastics meet, I see something like this, and they just meet that coach as soon as they come off the floor, and it's not good. It's like, your daughter's not going to the Olympics. Stuff happens in this sport, maybe more than other sports, and you've got to have the wherewithal. You've got to have the composure. It's like, if there really needs to be a conversation, please do it behind closed doors. Do not be, don't be meeting your coach at 12, at 12 on the Richter scale, or on the whatever you would say, the amp, when they come off the floor in public in front of people. That is a terrible way to conduct business. And again, you make problems that otherwise weren't there. And so please just let your coach do their job. Calm down. If you have questions, please ask them, because I would love for people to come and ask me questions, and that way you maintain that open line of communication, and everything gets better. So, Mr. Cronin, I know that you were a gym owner for basically as long as I've been alive. And
let's see, 1990. What year were you born?
I was born in '88. I was 2
was
years
1990.
old, sir.
So imagine Coach Aaron in diapers.
Please
No,
do
please
not.
don't.
Please do
No,
not.
I probably no
Imagine.
picture.
Yeah.
Better not.
No, we want you to tune back in next time. Don't imagine that.
Not zoom out.
So what?
Well, it depends.
Being a gym owner, I'm just skipping over it. Being a gym owner is a very tough thing, as I have found out. You were a gym owner, I'm a gym owner now, and it comes with any number of unique challenges on a day-to-day basis. And so, what is your advice to gym owners? How can they better swim through this sea of problems that they have and responsibility?
But you make it look easy, right? And everybody wants to own a gym because it just looks like fun. It looks like the easiest thing in the world to do, right? Yeah.
No comment.
Ignore that man behind the curtain, But my advice, and it is a grind. Any business ownership's going to be a grind, and if you're doing it right, it might feel like it's 24/7, but you definitely don't want it to be 24/7. That's just the way that's just the way it feels. And I know from owning a business, from watching Coach Aaron own a business, it's hard. It's hard work. It's rewarding work, but it is hard work. And I guess my advice, and there's just all kinds of advice I could give, but on in that line, my advice would be that you definitely need times where you're completely away from it. You have to get away, and it may not be days. It may just be hours. And just a couple examples of how to get away from it. Now, Aaron's not going to do this, but I like running, and so
How did I know? How did I know?
but for me, getting away, getting away from the gym and just going out and taking a run and just relaxing and putting my mind in neutral is one of the better things that I can do. I mean, obviously, spending time with your family too. And so that in the broad amount of hours, I guess, one of the things I would do was for Labor Day weekend, I would go to Austin, and during Labor Day weekend, I would just shut the gym down completely. There are no birthday parties, there are no classes, there's no camps. Just shut the gym down completely and get out of town. And because even if you're gone, if there's activity going on in the gym, you're still responsible, you're still the accountable person. And so find time to get away from it all. I mean, as much as you love it, as much as you care about it, as much as you put your heart and soul into it, you need to have both those short moments as well as those long moments where you can just go, I'm going to set it aside. I'm not going to work on it. And guess what? I mean, when you come back, there'll still be plenty to do.
As I found, there's always stuff to do. The list never grows any shorter. So yeah, I mean, I think that's good. And to your point about running, I mean, I've never been a runner, but I was a basketball player, and so basketball for a long time was basically the same thing for me. It's just me and the hoop, and there's no, the only problem is if the ball doesn't go in the hoop, and so it's kind of put your mind in neutral and kind of do something, think about something else. I think in the short term could be very very beneficial to not losing your mind. But so the thing that I'm gonna say is that number one, and this is, and I say it over and over again because it's true, and this is the thing that I thought when I took over the gym from Mr. Cronin, and I just was overwhelmed by the work that was going to have to go on to put this gym back on the floor, and that is that no one's coming to save you. And so that means that you got to be here. You got to be accountable. You got to be here, the first one in, the last one out. And that all starts with a mindset. Nobody does anything great by sleeping in or whatever. It's like you've got to clock in and you've got to show up, and that's number one. So no one's coming to save you. You got to do it all yourself until you can train or acquire people who can help you do that and do it to your standards. Because,
right, and so delegation is important. That doesn't relieve you of the responsibility, but definitely finding good people to help you to do the things that need to be done in the gym is critical.
Yeah, for sure. And I think also, you alluded to this too, it will be a lot harder than it looks. And because you've got to put together all of those crazy hours in the morning, at night, on weekends, I was taking calls for the gym on a Sunday in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. It never really stops. You said when there's stuff going on in the gym, you're responsible for it. Yes, and that means that even if you're not in the country, you've got to still be accountable for it. So. And so like I said, it will be a lot harder than it looks, and because of that, no one will understand what you go through. They'll just show up at 4:30 and be like, "Hey, I am here with my presence. I am here to grace you and be here at the gym." And it's like, I'll be here for 2 hours, and my life is so hard. I work for 2 hours at the gym, It's so hard. And so I mentioned the last time you were here, I think, about the magic elves, and everybody just thinks that the magic elves show up and they fix everybody's shoes and they put the stuff on the wall and they do no, Kaegan takes the L. And so you've got to do all the things, and people just show up and be like, I just wonder, it just fell out of the sky. I wonder how that happened. And so that's a little annoying, but you've got to be prepared for it. And then the last thing is, and the most important thing is that although this is arduous and it's often a tumultuous journey, running a gym and being out in front and being accountable and all those things that I said, you've got to remember why you do this. And you can't lose the love. You can't lose the love for the kids, and you can't lose the love for the people around you, and making a positive impact in your community. I mean, all of those things are super important, and I think that that's the reason that most people get into this. And so you've got to remember that even while you're floating up to your eyeballs in a sea of nonsense that comes with it. And but yeah, have some perspective, and that will help you get to the next phase. And so, randomly strong opinion of the day.
Weather. Most people say that the perfect weather is a bright sunny day, few clouds in the sky. Perfection. That is objectively wrong. The perfect weather is 68 degrees, very cloudy, with a light sprinkle and a light breeze. Literally perfect. The only time that you need otherwise is hot for swimming and cold for snowing. Those are the only two times that it is acceptable to be anything but 68 degrees.
Pause for Tracy to disagree. 3, 2, 1.
You're wrong.
Okay, what's your favorite weather? What's your favorite weather?
Mid-60s, overcast, lightly sunny. You know, the sun pokes out behind the clouds every now and then, but it's not roasting you all day long.
Okay.
Light breeze.
See, no, but you gotta get that like sprinkle, the sprinkle
you
of
don't.
rain. Yeah, you
Nope.
do. It
No, you
makes
don't.
it makes the day better. Light rain. Is
It
good.
can make a day better. It
makes-
would not make every day better.
It makes life better. What are y'all's favorite weather?
114.
You're lying. You're lying. Nobody likes roasting.
I do
In
do
your
enjoy
black
it
leather
to
car.
be. I do enjoy it to be a little bit warmer. I think if it gets too cold or cool, then I don't know. I'm from Texas. It's just how I am. I enjoy hotter weather.
I always
Monsoon.
look forward to the fall. You know, as a kid, all these kids in school are like, oh, summer, and I'm like, no, it's fall. It's when the weather, it's right after summer. You've sweated out for 3 months, and you know what sweating out is in Wichita Falls.
6 months.
6 months, yeah. And finally, you know, you get the second weekend or third week in September, and the weather finally turns cooler, and it's like, that's where it's at.
I can agree with that one.
Perfect running weather.
Absolutely. Yes.
Okay, so the bowl of cereal might have been one of the first dishes I ever learned to prepare as a child. Okay, easiest dish in the world, but it's amazing just how many people get it wrong. What kind of monster do you have to be? What kind of awful childhood did you have where you grow up and you think that it's correct to pour the milk and then the cereal on top of the milk? I'm sorry, but you are wrong.
Okay.
No, Kaegan.
I'm not
you're
saying I
interrupting me.
agree.
Shush.
Okay.
You pour the cereal, and then you pour the milk in around the cereal. Have you ever seen the analogy of the jar where they have to put in bits of wood and then sand? If you put the sand first and then the wood, it won't go in. But if you put the wood first and then pour the sand around it, it fills the jar.
It's a question. If you finish all the cereal, but you still have milk, is it acceptable to put more cereal in that milk, or do you have to drink the milk,
See,
pour more cereal in the bowl, and then pour milk again?
that's a different scenario because you're already at the mercy of having your bowl with milk in it.
So at that point, it's acceptable?
That is the only point at which it is acceptable.
Okay.
I mean, Tracy's over here judging people's lives and childhood over the method in which they make their cereal.
Says the man who judged people about a lime Skittles.
Listen.
Just the person
That's
doesn't
a
like
real
veggie
thing.
pizza.
That's a Tracy. Do you like veggie pizza?
No, it's wrong.
Why
people
is it
that
wrong?
eat veggie because it doesn't have meat on it. People
doesn't
that
have
eat
meat.
veggie pizza is wrong. Okay.
Okay, I want to go on record that most pizza meat I can't have because I'm Jewish. So there's like
Another
Over-
reason why you're wrong.
One of these days, the randomly strong opinion is just going to be an 870-point list of why Kaegan is wrong.
I'd be okay with that.
Here's the thing, you come out of Walmart, and I like Walmart, okay? You think what you want to think about Walmart, but it's a great place to pick up all kinds of stuff, okay? And so you come out of Walmart, or you're going into Walmart, and why are all these carts all over the parking lot? When you are through shopping, you put your groceries in your car, and you just go over to the little corral and put the cart in there. How difficult is that? How lazy do you have to be not to complete that task?
Last one. Okay. There are just too many streaming services, guys. I mean, it's crazy. Like, I mean, there's like 40 different streaming services. And the thing is, especially for sports fans, now I like Victory Plus, which is what the Stars are on. I'm a big hockey fan, and so I enjoy that. But the thing is, I was trying to watch the Mavericks game the other day. It's on. You got to go like on their website and pay to have it, and it's like there's just so much stuff, and nobody knows where the game is. It used to be, maybe it's ESPN Plus, maybe it's Hulu, maybe it's Peacock.
Peacock sometimes.
Yeah, maybe it's like, and somebody was bemoaning.
Having wrestling on its.
Yeah, they are, right. And so, but the thing is, there's just too much stuff. And so somebody's got to go through here and start buying up some of these companies. We got to get
what Disney's doing.
Yes, we got to get this in so that I can not pay $9.99 to watch this one show and then pay $14.99 to watch this show. That's ridiculous. And so I realized that we're kind of in the middle of a new age, because before this it was the TV bundle, and you could just turn on channel 25 and ESPN would be right there, and you could watch whatever. Mm-hmm. Yes. Look to your left.
This happened in your lifetime too, bro.
Actually,
Yeah.
I think 2009 was about the year that they started doing the streaming services, because that's when I got Netflix for the first
But
time.
I have nothing against streaming services in general. I've got something against that I can never find what I want to watch, because it's on. If I had 12 streaming services, it would be on a 13th. You know what I mean? And that's how it is. It's like eventually. No, I do not. But eventually, we've got to really consolidate some of this. And I realize we're kind of in the wild west of this particular era, because before it was cable bundle and everything you needed was on there. But yeah, we got to figure this out. We need some monopolies going on around here. We need to get this going so that we can watch all of our stuff in one easy to use platform. Fantastic. Old person rant over. That'll about do it for us. Thank you so much for hanging out. Please remember to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell so that you
comment and share.
Comment and tell Kaegan he's wrong.
Do all the things. Please, yes. If you want to send a comment and tell Kaegan how wrong he is, he will argue with you. He has no life. It's fantastic. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. Please stay tuned for One Flying Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
And have a flipping great day. What does that mean?
It means don't forget to set. Take care.